Welcome back. Good afternoon. I've enabled the calling feature if somebody wants to call. Okay. Sabir wanted to call me. I'm calling him back. Sabir, it is saying ringing. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Keep on joining. Hello.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon, Sabir. Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you so much for the calling feature, sir. It's been a privilege to learn ancient history from you, basically. I
Oh,
had a
thank you.
small
Means a lot.
request that can you please explain the what are the basic features of early medieval once again for me?
Okay, good question. With this, we can begin the lecture itself. So, anything else, Sabir?
No, sir. Only
Nothing
only
else?
this I have the doubt.
Okay, okay. Thank you for your call. Thank you. Okay. Right. So what Sabir asked was that what are the basic features of early medieval? Fragmented polity, feudatory mentality, urban contradiction, or what we call as contraction of urbanism and trade itself, and last but not the least, fragmented army. So together, all of this is early medieval features, and all these dynasties which we are discussing, all of them are exhibiting this basic feature also. So as you saw, Sabir used the calling feature. You can use it also. You can just send me a request. I'll call you back. You have to pick it up. You should have a microphone based earphones, or your laptop should have a microphone so that you can also talk to me and everybody can hear what you're saying. And my reply is also live to everyone. So, yes. Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you, Sabir. Thank you for your question. So, we go from what is the time? Yes, we'll wait for one more minute. From 3:40 to 5:40. This is our part B. We'll take a break from 5:40 to 6 and then 6 to 8, which is part C. So, very simply, our discussion now has to go to the Chola period, and we have to discuss a very important module, which is Imperial Chola and the Chola Empire. I'll give it a minute and then we can begin our discussion. Again, I'm waiting for everybody to join in. Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Please keep on joining in. Good afternoon. Okay, we'll wait for 2 minutes more because still the number is not there. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Any question you want to ask, you want to call, you can do that. Murgana, it's in the testing phase. It will be pushed into that once we are clear with regards to this. So it will be rolled out. It should be. Yes, Aditya L1 launch was successful. Separation was successful. Yes. Actually, the match has started. I didn't realize also. What's the score? Who's batting? What's the score? Rain delay. Oh, 15 runs. Batting कौन कर रहा है? अच्छा, 4 overs, 15 runs. India. Very good. 15 for 0. The more important thing is 0. Okay. So as it was predicted, na, there was rain predicted for this match. So maybe we'll have a shorter format or Duckworth and Lewis will come into play. So we'll see. Who are the bowlers we went with? Shammi, Siraj, and Bumrah. All three, na? That's good combination. Jill zero runs, 8 balls. Very good. No Shami. Acha. Somebody saying yes, somebody saying no. No Shami sir for optional. Acha, do we have to study post Gupta early medieval in detail? Yes, Shiva. Optional, very important area. 1 to 2 questions do come. Okay, I'll wait for 1 more minute and then we'll begin. Very important section. That is why I'm chit chatting about the match, because I want everybody to be here. Ankita, I think the batch after morning batch, which is happening right now for modern India, I should be taking it. Either it's the evening, it's not evening, it's either weekend first and then evening, something like that. Okay, so can we start? Everybody's here, everybody's comfortable, no issues. Yes. Okay. So our discussion now pivots to the next major module, which is basically the Chola. Now, one of you asked me a very interesting question in the last session itself, that how many Cholas are there? This was the question. I didn't answer it at this point of time because I thought that we have to cover it. See, basically there are two Cholas. One are these Cholas which we discussed in Sangam polity. Sangam polity, what we discussed, that is basically, very simply, they are called early Cholas. And these are called the early medieval imperial Cholas. The reason being that these are the Cholas, Raja Rajendra, who actually dominated the Bay of Bengal, dominated the Southeast Asian sector, and even were able to reach the Ganga, which is Ganga called the Chola. The simple point is, they are the early. Here, the most important ruler is Karikala Chola, and they have a different originator itself. The founder is Vijayala. So the fact is, the only coincidence between the only connection between the two is that very simply they are called Cholas. The surname is the same, but the family line may be the same, but the founders are totally different. These are the what we call early Cholas referred to in the Sangam literature. They are the real imperial Chola as we know it, the strongest, the most powerful, making the Bay of Bengal the Chola lake in that regard. So have to be very clear how the examiner is asking you a question. Most probably, when they use the word Chola and the question is dealing with political, economic, or social history, it has to be very simply imperial Chola, because we don't know a lot about the early Chola or the Sangam polity. Many a times they refer to or even imply, basically, except for Karikal Chola, if you see any other name, most probably it is imperial Chola, because the history of early Cholas is very limited. But UPSC tends to specify also that in the early medieval period or the imperial Cholas or the Chola Empire, when you see the word empire, it means early medieval. So first and foremost point is, are we clear with regards to the nomenclature? Because nomenclature is half of the story, wherein imperial Cholas and the imperial Chola Empire and early Chola difference. Are we clear with regards to this? How are they different in that sense? Yes? Yes, sir. Okay. So, first and foremost point, the Cholas which we are referring to right now were extremely powerful, were very simply feudatories of the Pallavas, and they were able to become so powerful that they dominated the whole of peninsular India, along with parts of Sri Lanka, parts of Maldives, and even parts of Southeast Asia. So very simply, the Cholas we are referring to are the Cholas who actually yielded real power with a lot of influence in this sector, who were even able to capture the Pandya and the Cheras, because Pandya Cheras also persist. But very simply, the Cheras and the Pandyas both were dominated by the Cholas of the Kanchi sector, or what we call as Chola. They had three very important cities: Kanchipuram, Thanjavur being the most important first capital, and then Gangaikonda Cholapuram. So three very important cities in that sense. Now, as I said, their genealogy or their history starts with the Kanchipuram Pallavas. Pallavas had a feudatory which is Vijayala, and he was able to, belonging to the old Chola family from Urayur, he was able to establish himself at Mutayuru, and by 9th century he had become very, very powerful. He was also the one who built the city of Thanjavur. So basically, we call them Cholas of Thanjavur. Thanjavur, whilst the early Cholas are called the Cholas of Urayur. So Urayur, Thanjavur. And he also built a very important temple for goddess Nishumbha, one second, Nishumbha Pasudini. And very simply, he was the one who established, being a feudatory first, one of the strongest empire in this sector, when which was quite stable also for quite a long time. Now, there are two very important rulers. There are basically Vijayala, Aditya, Raja, and Rajendra. So, for us, these two are very, very important, which is Raja and Rajendra. And very simply, Raja and Rajendra are considered very, very important because of their imperialistic policy. Now, herein comes the concept. See, Raja Raja Chola was the one who dominated the Cheras, dominated and captured the Cheras. Thereafter was also able to capture the Pandya area. He was also the one who took North Sri Lanka. Understand this point. Northern part only he was able to conquer, and he was also the one who took Maldives. So he was able to spread the area of influence of the Cholas. But it is Rajendra one who basically made the Cholas who they really were. Very simply, he was able to capture or conquer whole of Sri Lanka, or Ceylon as we know it. And for close to 50 years, the royal insignia, the symbols of their power, were actually were with Rajendra one. Further, he went on to complete the process of consolidation of Deep South plus Maldives plus Sri Lanka. So he ended what Raja Chola started. But he also had a very interesting history with Southeast Asia. So the founder of the Chola Empire is Vijayala, feudatory of the Pallavas, captured Tanjore in 850. Raja destroyed the Chera navy at Trivandrum, captured Quilon. Then he captured Madurai, basically Pandyas. He also conquered Sri Lanka and annexed its northern part. He conquered the Maldives sector, and he was also able to overrun the Vengi sector in northern Karnataka. So he's the one who's going up and down, but the consolidation is not complete. Now, Rajendra I took Raja's expansionist policy or annexationist policy further, and the conquest of Sri Lanka was completed under him, and the royal insignia was now with Rajendra I. Insignia means symbols. So complete Sri Lankan annexation. Thereafter, for next 50 years, it was directly under the control of the Cholas. The next would be that he was able to cross over from the Odisha sector into Bengal, and he defeated some certain local rulers near the Ganga, and he was one of the foremost in crossing the Narmada river, then crossing even the Odisha sector to go towards the Bengal sector. And to commemorate the defeat of these two local kings, he took the title, very important, Gangai Konda Chola, the Chola who dominated Ganga, and he established a new city called Gangai Konda Chola Puram, the Puram, the city of the one who conquered Ganga. That is a very important epithet. But what equally is important about Rajendra is the one that understood he understood the of importance of merchants and controlling sea routes. And we get to know about this via his clash and conflict with Sri Vijaya dynasty of Indonesia. So, what is this strait called? What is this strait called? Very good. This is the Straits of Malacca. Now, in order to go to China, in order to go to the South China Sea or the Yellow Sea, very simply, you have to cross the Straits of Malacca. Now, the Straits of Malacca, as of right now, or during this period, was under an empire called Sri Vijaya Empire. So any ruler, or rather any Chola merchant who used to cross this sector, the ruler was asking for money or some form of toll. Rajendra I did not like it, and therefore he took his navy, considered one of the most strongest, second to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj himself. The fact is that he went there, he fought with the Sri Vijaya dynasty in order to make sure that Chola merchants were not harassed and they were not taken any tolls. And this is the importance and power of Rajendra I, that he understood why it was important to manage certain sea routes. Now, a very important concept here again is that in this map shows you a very important thing. What does the pink represent actually? There's a blue and there's pink. What does the pink represent? Or rather, tell me, does the pink area directly come under Chola control? No. So I have introduced to you a concept. What concept applies here? Very good, Himanshu. The suzerainty of the Cholas. Here the Cholas have direct control. So here Chola have what we call as sovereignty. But this is where Rajendra I went, made the ruler very simply, in a way, plead to leave him alone. And once he came back, his power was accepted by the local rulers. So there is a suzerainty, overlordship of the Cholas in this area. There is no direct control, it's indirect control still, not direct. So therefore, the concept is very straightforward, that Rajendra I and the Cholas actually understood the importance of maritime trade. Maritime trade and traders, their importance was something which the Chola rulers actually understood. Is the basic history clear? Because I have to do a very important section with you, which is Chola administration and the land grants of Cholas. Are we clear with regards to basic political history of Raja Raja Rajendra? We don't have to go into anyone else. You want to read further, there's a chapter in Satish Chandra, that's not an issue. What I want to do is rather where the questions come from. So, as of right now, since the beginning, we've done certain things. I want to practice certain questions with you also. Can I do that? Because now I've done the political history. Now we'll go into what we call as theoretical, little bit conceptual in that regard. Can we do it? Yes. I want to practice with you Pala, Pratihara, Rashkuta plus Chola. Yes. Okay. So, one, two. Which of them correctly matched? One pair, two pair, three pair, none. Ready? Fastest fingers first. Okay. Okay. Come on. Perfect. 68% totally correct. Very good. Nobody did C and D. Very good. See, Indra Rashkuta correct. Gopala Pala correct. Subhash Mahendra Pal is not Rashkuta. He is Pratihara. This was the exception question. This is easier. Okay. This is better. Okay. Now. Okay. Okay. 44% correct, but some of you. These two are reversed. These two are reversed. Then let's take one more. If this is the case, are you understanding the way the questions can be asked? That is the only way that is the only reason I'm doing this also. A little bit difficult question. Let's take. Okay, come on. Who is that 1% who marks C? Who marked C? 3%? C. Oh, this should not be C. 1 second. This should be B. 2 pair. If you answered B, it's correct. Sorry. I didn't see this should not be last quarter. This is incorrect. This should be, yeah, I am B. B if you're done. I didn't realize. This should be Pushyabhuti. This is correct. Al Masudi's Pratihara. Suleiman is Pala. I clicked the wrong option itself. So yes, Palas were referred in Suleiman. Al Masudi talked about Bhoja and the later ones. Right? One more last if you want to. Just revising with you. This is a part of our revision in that sense. Come on. You want one more or we can move on? Because I then go into something extremely theoretical thereafter. Yes? No? Yes, we do. Okay. Okay. A little bit different type of question I'll take. I'll remove this pair thing. Arrange in yes. Yeah, we can take a little bit other type. The following. Rather, let's do array. Match the following. Then we'll take the third ascending, descending. Match the following. I want to do with you. Okay. This should be easier because the way I made it itself is a little bit easier. Perfect. 54%, 18, 18, 11. So we know that the correct is Kumar Gupta for Nalanda, Udantapuri, Dharampala for Vikramshila. Last one more question I'll take. Thereafter, we will end this process. Do you want to? I hope if you find this not fruitful, then we can move on. I'm just trying to revise the past 4.5 hours. Okay. Last. Arrange in ascending order, or rather, which of the following are correctly arranged in ascending order? Come on. This is the last question I ask you. Come on. Sridevi, there's a previous question for that. Don't worry. I'll do it in the end, so you'll see. Perfect. So 50% if you're totally correct. Bhukti, smallest, then intermediary, largest. So C is the answer. Rashtra is the biggest, can't be, not descending order. Even in descending order, it is not correct sequence. Thereafter, again, Vishya is this, it should be reversed, which it is in C. And Vishya is not the smallest. You have to automatically understand that it is Rashtrakutas because it says the word Rashtra. Right? Everybody satisfied? Can we move forward? Now you get it how these type of questions can be asked, or what is the nature of questions itself. Whether I want to discuss administration, I want everybody's consent, everybody's with me, no issues. Generally, I'm trying to do this because I want to revise factual portion with you in class itself. I could have not done this. I actually don't need to also, but I am doing it just to make sure that everything is done in class itself. Right? Yes, the people who are getting it incorrect, just revise once. It's not that hard. It's just that you need revision. That's it. Okay. Now we go to Chola administration. And when we talk about Chola administration, there are certain terminologies which we add to this Bhukti Rashtra concept itself, which is that, see, there's a major debate over the nature of Chola administration. Some argue it is centralized, some argue it is decentralized, some argue it is segmented, or what we call as a segmentary state model of Buttonstein. Simple point, these two are the same thing itself, little bit different. But one thing is very, very clear, not fully centralized, and maybe the Nadu was an important level of control. And we know it is not fully centralized because Cholas had a very big tendency, rather, will not say big tendency. Cholas issued many land grants, and you will see that in turn leads to fragmentation. See, king is most important in most systems. The biggest is called mandala, smallest is the village Tanyar itself. Nadu should be seen as district, and this is intermediary. Basically, this is province, intermediary, and district itself. Nadu is considered a very important unit itself, and it could consist of a number of villages having close ties with itself. Road connections, irrigation works, all were paid a lot of attention by the Cholas generally. And there were multiple rich peasantry caste, sometimes called the Velala caste. The caste has a different connotation today, but this caste of rich peasantry was very close to the government, to the central Chola government itself, and a lot of important positions were given to these castes, and there was a certain type of nexus between the rich peasantry and the Cholas. We'll discuss that. But four types of taxes. Tell me one thing, has the first tax name changed over the Vedic period to this period of the Cholas? No. Bhaga still is land tax, but now is one third of the produce. Upayam is salt tax, something taken by the Cholas. Valium is tax on goods. Think of it basically like a tax, like a GST type thing. And Hiranya is land tax in cash. So if you take the bhaga in cash, it becomes hiranya. Hiranya means coins itself. Now, the most important thing of all this is Nadu is an important. Mandala, Valanadu, Nadu is the only thing. This is the first thing. Anybody has any issue there? Because these terms are something which you can learn. Now, I need to discuss with you something extremely important. So, you have Bhaga, Upayam, Valiam, Hiranya, and you have Mandala, Valanadu, Nadu as the basic unit. The most important thing I need to discuss with you is land grants of the Cholas, because they had multiple ones and they had very institutionalized ones. So I now talk about the land grants itself, because here a standard question can be made, also comes in the examination quite a lot. Okay. The first and foremost point is I've been talking about land grants quite a lot. I've been talking about land grants quite a lot. And the basic fundamental question which comes out of this discussion is that what does a land grant actually give you? And we are very lucky to have in the NCRT a translation of a Tamil section of a land grant given by the Cholas. And this will give you three very important concepts. First is you see how it actually used to spell out what a land grant gives you. This is how you are given a land grant on a copper plate. We have demarcated the boundaries of the land by making earthen embankments as well as planting thorny bushes. This is what the land contains: fruit bearing trees, water, land, gardens, orchards, trees, wells, open spaces, pasture, a village, ant hills, platforms, canals, ditches, rivers, silt laden land, tanks, granaries, fish ponds, beehives, and deep lakes. He who receives the land grant can collect taxes from it. He can collect the tax imposed by the judicial officer as fine, and the tax on betel leaves, tax on woven cloth, and tax as well as on vehicles. He can build large rooms with upper stories made of baked bricks. He can get small and large wells dug. He can plant trees and thorny bushes. If necessary, he can get canals constructed for irrigation. He should ensure that water is not wasted and that embankments are built. What is the most important point of not wasting water? Why are the Cholas very particular about not wasting water? What is in the geography of that sector that is making them do this? Come on. Yes, the rivers are not what we call as Himalayan rivers or perennial rivers, the volume changes as per the monsoon itself. So the reason why they are very particular about wells, irrigation tanks, and the fact that you don't waste water is because of the nature of the rivers itself. What is equally important is this: you see how in the 9th century CE itself we have what is called green orientation and the concept of sustainability and the concept of environmental consciousness. What do you mean by this? That today we find it a very, very comical to say that the state should be responsible for protecting the environment. But you see, conservation of environment is something which they are talking about. Water pollution, water and fresh water is considered like what we call as amrit, something which is extremely important, and they're talking about it. You can add this to GS paper 3 to your essay, that see the cholas in this period itself have a totally different orientation to what we know as today as the concept of conservation, green orientation, sustainability. Anybody has any issue understanding this? Because then I go into a very interesting diagram and we will start to understand what are the terms for the gland ranch itself. Okay, no issues. Okay, pay attention now. What I'm going to do is very, very important. Types of land grant. See, cholas were very, very, very institutionalized in how they gave land grants. Green orientation means that green means to be environmentally conscious, orientation of the state itself. They were very, very, very institutionalized in giving their land grants. And for everything what they gave it a name. And that is what we have to understand. So let's go to Chola Nadu. Let's go to 9th century and we reach here. This is a Nadu. This is a Nadu. And there is there is there's this area. This area is cultivated by non-Brahmin cultivators and farmers. If this is basically non land grant area, who will receive the tax out of this area? Who will receive the tax out of this area? Who will collect tax out of this area? Tax is collected by the king. Very good. By the king. The king has not foregone anything. Now, this type of land is called, according to the Cholas, it is called Velen Vagai. Velen Vagai. Velen Vagai is nothing but a area which is cultivated. Velen Vagai. It is an area which is cultivated by non-Brahmin cultivators. Tax is collected by the king, and most important, non-land grant area. This is the first term which can come in the examination. What do you mean by Velin Vagai? Velin Vagai. Thereafter, the concept is that there was this area. A very big, and we have one second. Okay, so this is this area. A very big Brahmin went and met with Raja or Rajendravan. And Rajendravan said that I'm so happy with your prediction that I want to give you a certain area in this Nadu. And therefore, the area which has been marked, this has been granted to a Brahmin as land grant. If it has been granted to a Brahmin as land grant, who will collect the tax? Who will collect the tax? Very good. Tax collected by Brahmin. And very simply, this is in a very simplistic way for us called Brahma Daya areas or villages. Agraharam is the other word also. There's one more word which is used. The other word is Agraharam or Brahma Daya. So, Velenvagai is a land of non-Brahman peasant proprietors who own their own land. Brahmadaya is land gifted to a Brahman. Land gifted to a Brahman. So these are the first two terms which you need to know. Very easy because Velenavagai is king takes the money, non-Brahmin cultivator, and the Brahmadaya is in its name itself. You have Brahma, so Brahmin gets the tax. Anybody has any issue in these two? Any issue in these two? No. Very good. Now, Agraharam word is used, sir, in Tamil Nadu where Brahmins only reside. Yes, yes, Shiva. Very good. So you can get that understanding. So, what is this? Can anybody guess basic understanding of art and culture? What is this? Very good. This is a temple. Very good. This is a temple. Now, the problem with the temple is that though the temple has a lot of what we call as dan, dakshina, things which are given to the temple also has a lot of staff. Has a lot of staff to very simply run. There could be people who would be living there. There could be people who are maintaining the temple. And does maintaining a temple need money? Does maintaining a temple need money? It does. So now the temple priest goes to Rajendravan and says that you mighty Rajendravan, we are a temple, but we are struggling to somehow find the money to give to our maintainers or the people who have we have a staff. So Rajendravan say no more. I give you all of this land, all of this land as land grant. Whatever revenue will be generated out of this area, I will not collect it. The temple will collect it on the behalf of the god and used to maintain the temple itself. And this type of grant very ominously is called a Devdana grant. A Devdana grant, which is a dan which has been given to the Deva, to the god. And I'll give you a very simple example of something like this. There are temples which have acres and acres of land. Have ever imagined how did these temples get so much land? Acres and acres of land. In very small villages also, there would be certain areas which the temple would be owning. So Devdana grant is a grant of land to the temple to maintain itself. To maintain itself. So who will collect the tax out of this area? Who will collect the tax out of this area? Come on. Very easy. Very good. Temple. Now, there's a small Jain temple here. A small Jain temple here. So they felt that somehow if we also go to Rajendravan, maybe he will give us something also. Because they also need money. So the Jain priests go to Rajendravan. They say, whatever be your religion, we have heard you're a very, very generous leader. Give us something. Give us something. Now, Rajendravan obviously is not that type of person who will say, no, I will only give it to this type of temple, that type of temple. He is a mighty ruler. He really doesn't care. So he says, not that much, but this much land I am ready to give you. And a grant which is given, land grant to a Jain temple, is called Pali Chandanam. Pali Chandanam, which is, this is called Pali Chandanam. Who will collect the tax here? Tax is collected by whom? I'll give you a table also, don't worry. Tax is collected by whom? Very good. The Jain temple. Very good. Now somebody went to Rajendravan and said that you are giving so much land to the temples, but people will remain illiterate. You need to also build schools. So what Rajendravan says is that, okay, I have allocated this much land and build a school here. Build a school here. So when land is allocated, when land is allocated to build a school, it is called a Ghatika grant. Matha Ghatika grant. Basically, they will literally build a school here. But now the school says, you gave us land, but how will we pay for the teachers? So Rajendravan will say, whoever comes, ask for money only. So, okay, you want something? I allocate all of this land to you, and this land will be called Shalbhoga grant. And basically, it is to maintain the school. So, who will collect the tax in Shalbhoga? Shalbhoga, who will collect the tax? School. And this is the landscape of different grants given by the Cholas. By the Cholas. So the first type of grant which they give is called Velenavagai. The second type of grant which they give is called Brahmadaya. The third type of grant which they give is called Devadana. The fourth is called Ghatika. The fifth is called Shalbhoga. And the sixth is called Pali Chandanam. Anybody has any issue in understanding this? Come on, can't be more graphical. And I will also give you a table hereafter. Are you getting the terms here now? Velennavagai, Brahmadaya, Shalabhoga, Devadana, Palichandana, Mat or Gatika grant. Anyone, any issue? Want to take a screenshot? Take a screenshot. Take a screenshot. Can I move and forward and give you a table? If he give all land, it's problem for rule. Takdiz, he's Rajendravan. He doesn't really care. When you are a king and you have an area like the Cholas, not everything he gives to. Still, Velenavagai is giving him land or giving him land tax in that regard. But that is the way egos of rulers work. He is not the one who's going to give you 100, 200 rupees. He is going to give you villages. He's going to give you grants. And this is the way they actually worked in that regard. So can I put this in a tabular form? Anybody has any fundamental issue in these terms? Have to learn this, very, very important. Okay, no issues? Great. So let's put this in a box. Then I give you a small break and then we can go forward with the next set of discussions. Okay. Okay. Grant purpose collected tax collected by whom? You have Velenavagai, Devadana, Pali, Chitanam. You have Shalabhoga. You have Khatika. Non-Brahmin peasant area king. Grant to temple for maintenance. Grant to Jain temple. Grant to school for maintenance. Land given for construction. Land grant. Done. Come on. Yes. Anybody has any issue? Clear? So all these Ghatika, see Ghatika, the difference is Ghatika is the land on which it will be constructed. Like the government of India allocates certain land for, this is the Ghatika. This is the land which has been given, on which you construct the school. The land which has been allocated for maintenance of the school is Shal Bhoga. So Ghatika, very simply, there is no tax collection concept. There's only the concept of construction. That's it. So you have these different types of grants. Again, can get a very standard question in the examination, and therefore Brahmadaya is given in the end. Abhinav. So very simply, you can write. This is how the UPSC will play with terminologies, and this is what you need to understand also. So I hope everybody is clear with regards to this. If this is clear, then we take a break, and when we come back, we discuss Ur Sabha, Nagaram, and then finish the early medieval sector and move into Turkish invasion. Yes? Yes, no, have to say something. Okay. So it is what? 4:47. We come back at what, 5, and then go until 5:40. Or you want less? Okay, till 5. We'll come back at 5. I leave it here so that you can understand it from here better. You want tabular? I leave it on the table. This, this, this. I leave it here. Okay, welcome back. Can we go ahead? Yes, sir. Very good, Anu. Okay, great. So I hope this helped you. We, as it is break at 5:40ish. If somebody wants to call and ask something, I'll be extremely happy to take your questions. If you have to call, the call feature did work. Muskan, you called and then removed. Rafia, you tried 2-3 times. Why don't you just send me a request again if you have a question? I was not able to take yours. Uh, One live call was resolved. Okay. Muskan sent a request and then cancelled. Right. Call option is not there. I've enabled call. Go into doubt section and it would show it in the corner. I think it should be in the corner. Yes. Then refresh once. Cian, refresh. Okay. You want a question? I'll do a question. Uh, Devi, I'll do a question. Let me teach a little bit more, then I'll do a question. Okay. Now, we've discussed a landscape of multiple land grants in which you have Devdana, you have Brahmadeya, you have Velenvagai, you have Pachitalam, you have, for example, multiple grants, multiple stakeholders, and multiple people collecting their taxes. Now comes the more interesting thing, which is local administration. Local administration, a very important module, second most important module within Cholas. Chola political history is one thing, Chola administration is the other. Okay, now let's again go to Chola country, and now we are not at the Nadu level, but very simply we are at a level of the Valanadu. We are at a Valanadu level. So this is one province, Valanadu. Valanadu, this is local administration. Now, at the Valanadu level, we have multiple each of these represents a village. These are villages. Now, there is one part of this Valanadu which basically touches the Bay of Bengal. And basically this Nadu, which is A, is basically a port city. Is a port city. Now, there are other Nadus also. B, C, D, E, F, E, F, and A, B, C, D, F, G. Now, very simply, C, F, and D. These are Velen Vagai areas or Nadus. And one very big important Brahmin came to meet Rajendravan. He was so happy that he said, I will not give you villages, I will give you Nadus. And B, G, and E are given as Brahmadeya grants or nadus. So you have BGE, which are Brahmadeya, and you have FCD, which is Velen Vagai, and A, which is a port city. Who collects the tax out of FCD? Who collects the tax out of FCD? The king. Perfect. And out of BGE? Brahmin. Okay. Now, during the Chola period, BGE had a local administrative body which was called Sabha. FCD had a local body which is called Ur, and port cities had a body called Nagaram. Basically, these bodies work like this in the way that you have Nadu. Under the Nadu, you have three types of local self-government: Ur, Sabha, Nagaram. And these are called local self-government bodies. And this is why we believe that to some level the power of the Cholas is decentralized, because of the way there's a fragmentation of the what we call as the Nadu itself, and further how we see it in the context of these local self governments, and how everybody has different powers and everything is very well defined. So if we are understanding that these are the three local self governments, can I now discuss the features with you separately as a different discussion? Very important, again, comes in the examination. Is this making sense to you? Is this making sense to you? Yes, it is. Okay. So let's try to understand each one of them in their perspective. Okay. Ur, Sabha, Nagaram. Ur, non-Brahmadeya villages. Brahmadeya villages. And port cities. Sir, there is called feature. Calling feature is there. It is enabled. It is enabled. You can call if you want. Okay. Now, Ur, the members of the Ur local body are all adult members of the village of the first three varnas and basically excludes women and Shudras, but basically is open to everyone other than women and Shudras. Sabha, the members of Sabha can only be of Brahmin Varna. Only Brahmin population is eligible to contest elections to the Sabha. Excludes second, third, and fourth Varna plus women. Multiple organizations for decision making. Brahmadaya villages. Nagaram, last but not the least, the merchants form the local decision making body. The Shrenis come together to form Nagaram. So very simply, this is inclusionary, this is exclusionary, this is occupation based. But what is the most interesting thing is there is elections to the Sabha. There is elections to the Sabha. Yes, no Kshatriyas, nothing. Only Brahmins. It makes sense also, na? Because basically it is a Brahmadaya village. A Brahmadaya village will be controlled by whom? A Brahmadaya village will be controlled by whom? You tell me. Who controls a Brahmadaya village? A Brahmin. So what is he doing? He is basically making all the Brahmins eligible for decision making. So it's a very standard logical system. Non-Brahmadaya village, everybody is part of the body except for the fourth Varna and women. Other than that, Brahmadaya villages, simple point is Brahmin dominated village, Brahmins are only allowed part of the Sabha. When it's a city, even it's a port city, merchants understand the need of the place, and therefore the state says that the merchant guilds, the Shrenis, nominate people to the Nagaram, and the merchants manage the city rather than any standard Varna itself. So very simply, the Shrenis, the guilds, come together to form a Nagaram, wherein very simply, here it is Brahmin dominated, that is why it's exclusionary, excludes everybody, inclusionary because includes everyone except for standard deduction, and Nagaram is something which is specific. So here you will find the Nagaram, here you will find the Nagaram, here you will find the Sabha, and here you will find the Ur in the villages, which is going to be the way they are going to automatically do. Arun, what is not understood? What is not understood? I am discussing the did you understand the land grants? First tell me this. No, women are still excluded. Women are excluded generally. What is Arun, tell me first things. Did the land grants make sense. If you're not following, you need to tell me what you're not following, please. This is very important standard questions in the examination based on statements. Come on. Arun, you said did not understand. You're not telling me. Did you understand the last topic? Because then I will repeat accordingly. Okay. Nagaram, second point in tabular column. Which second point? A lot of you are who are asking me this. Akshay, do you know what is Shreni? What is Shreni? Akshay, tell me first, because this is fundamental issue, I think. You don't know what is Shreni. That is the point, na? See, this means that you did not pay attention to post Maurya. Shreni. Can anybody tell me what is Shreni? I'll be happy to push the comment onto the screen. What is Shreni? What is guild? Give me a definition of guild. Akshay wants to know. Not subclassification of Varna. Inclusionary, exclusionary, I'll tell you. Arun, don't worry about that. Not merchant class. Different mans like merchant, no. Shiva, write the whole thing. Not merchant gathering. Is it only specific to merchants? Okay, this is good enough. Okay. I would like you to write it down because that gives me an understanding. Good, Shiva, very good. A group of merchants skilled in a particular craft, Shamishtav, not whole, plus come together as a association. As he says, Vaishyas and their associations. Association of merchants, artisans, and traders. Yes, that is also good enough. So very simply, this is the point. This is why that is not making sense. See, understand this point. The point is that Shrenis. See, you tell me one thing. If it is a port city, does it make sense to give a Brahmin control over how that port city should work? First, tell me this point. No. So, what the Cholas used to do, they knew that a port city has a special need. So, rather than giving the local administration to someone, they give it to the merchants who are basically or artisans who are very simply capable enough to take decisions which is good for the port itself. So the Shrenis nominate people into the Nagaram, and therefore this is the easiest. Merchants control the local decision making body. What do you mean by inclusionary and exclusionary? Arun, understand this point. Inclusionary means that if it is allowing for three varnas to be there, it is inclusionary. And if Brahmadaya is there, it is exclusionary. It is rejecting people. So inclusionary because it allows for all three varnas to be there. Exclusionary because it is only Brahmins. Make sense? Come on, you have to tell me if it is making sense or not. I'll write it in a different way. Don't worry. You tell me, I'll make a different type of table and it should make sense. If it is still not making sense, you tell me. Is this making sense? Very fundamental. These two slides are very, very important for you. The Brahmadaya, Velanvagai, Ghatika, Devadana, Pachindanam, and the other one, which is this one, which is the three local self-governments, which is Ur Sabha Nagaram. If this is making sense, I'll write it down again in a different way, but tell me if it is making sense or not. Little bit, 5%, 10%, completely, what is it? Yes? Okay, I'll write it in a different way. See, I'll write it in a very different way. Don't worry. Pur Sabha Nagaram. Okay. You have Ur, who can be part of first, second, third Varna male adults. Only Brahmin males. Merchants, artisans, and craftsmen. Nadu is bigger unit than all three. Yes, obviously. Nadu, this is village administration. Village administration. Now, Ur Sabha Nagaram. Who is excluded? Women, fourth Varna. And fourth Varna. Third, second, fourth Varna. Women. Non-Vaishya Varna. First, second, fourth, women. Area. Directly under king, under Brahmin, under the king. Now does it make sense? Come on. There's a different way of writing it. Is this making sense? Come on, have to be more vocal. Yes, no. Saturday, have a whole day with me tomorrow also. Okay. Now, Ur, Sabha, Nagaram, Agraharam or Brahmadaya village. Don't have to worry about this. Now, in Sabha, I mentioned something very important. I mentioned an election. Though it is the most exclusionary body, it has democratic principles of selection. Now, would you like first tell me one thing? Please pay attention. Is there a educational qualification for an MP or for a member of parliament MLA? Do you need to be of certain qualification, BA, MA, 10th, 12th, something like that? No? Very good. Now, second, tell me, no criteria mentioned. Very good. Second, tell me, is there any bar on how many terms you can have as an MP or MLA? No? This is 2023 democracy. Do you need to be a taxpayer to contest the election? Mandatorily be a taxpayer? No? You need to be a citizen. Don't need to be a taxpayer. Do you need to declare the income of yourself? That you have to. You, your family, your relatives, and everybody in your family. Do you declare that also? No? Now, very simply, if I apply the Chola principles, then maybe 99% of our MPs will get disqualified. This is in 9th century, close to 2500 years ago. In the Uttamayur inscription, which has been found in Tamil Nadu, the process of how somebody gets elected to the Sabha has been provided. Very simply, there are different departments which are there within a Sabha, and what is done is a person who becomes eligible, their names are written on a chit or a palm leaf, and they're put into a small earthen pot. It has all the names, and then a small boy very simply puts his hand inside and takes out the palm leaves. Whoever name comes through, it is basically a lottery. You can be selected, cannot be selected. It is on the basis of nomination and eligibility. But it is this eligibility which is actually the most difficult part of this whole sector. How? What does it say? Who can become a member of the Sabha? All those who wish, and this is exact words out of Uttaramayur inscription. All those who wish to become the members of the Sabha should be owners of land from which land revenue is collected, taxpayer. They should have their own homes, should be between 35 to 70 years of age, should have knowledge of the Vedas, educated, well versed in administrative matters and honest ethics, meaning integrity. If anyone has been the member of a committee in the last 3 years, he cannot be a member of another committee. Fixed term, which therein 3 years cooling period. Last but not the least, anyone who has not submitted his accounts and those of his relatives cannot contest elections. Let's take this exact archaic thing and apply it to the modern parliament, and you tell me what is going to happen. Remove knowledge of the Vedas, let's add 12th pass. And let's add the concept of has paid some taxes, has his own house, and 12th class plus on it, integrity is okay. And you cannot be a MP after one term and have to submit everything what your relatives have and you have. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? You tell me. Yes, that will be a massacre. Most of the people or most of our MPs are going to get disqualified, if not all. But the basic point is, if not MPs, MLAs, if not MLAs, someone else. What am I arguing is that sometimes we think that democracy is a very new concept. The most exclusionary body, which does not allow anybody to be a part of it, has the most democratic principles also. So if we argue that, for example, if there's a question which comes in the ethics paper or in the, for example, GS paper 2 or in essay, and they ask you about MPs and education, politics and education, eligibility and education, feel free to very simply quote the Uttaramayur inscription and say that one of the most exclusionary bodies had the most democratic principle also. So I hope you're able to understand the gravity of what I'm trying to show you here. This is the last thing which we need to do before we just see the basic terms, which is Velal, which is Shudra, agriculturist, Nagartar. Temple has two types of people or who work for them, Velangi and Idangi, and Brahmanical domination is there as standard as it is everywhere else. Before we go to advent of Turks after the break, I'll take 2-3 questions. But this is a moment of introspection in that regard. Are we all clear with regards to Chola? Chola is now over. Clear, everyone? Chola. Chola, come on. Chola is clear. Yes. So can I just practice 2-3 questions with you and then can we take a break? Okay. Okay. Yes. Previous year paper. Come on. One question. The Chinese traveler Huanzhang, who visited India, recorded the general conditions and culture of India at that time. In this context, which of the following statements are correct? The roads and river routes were completely immune from robbery. As regards to punishment for offences, ordeals by fire, water, poison were the instruments of determining the innocence or guilt of a person. The tradesmen had to pay duties at ferries and barrier stations. Which of the statements are correct? I'm giving you time to read the question. And yes. What's the score? If somebody is looking at the score. I don't want to tell me the score. 100 for 4. Don't tell me. Somebody saying 66 for 4. Everybody's telling me a different time. 102 for 4, but 4 is there. 103. Well, let's concentrate in class. No issues, Sushmita. No issues. Perfect. 57%. You are totally correct. See, tell me one thing. Kishan and Pandya. Okay. Tell me one thing straightforward. Are roads and rivers in India today completely immune from robbery? You tell me. This is called an extreme statement. But I also told you that Yun Sang actually got robbed in Harshvardhan's dynasty. Yes, once basically I really don't even care second, third is correct or not because automatically out of elimination it is coming. But if it was, yes, capital punishment, and yes, he was trying to take as much money as possible from the ferries and barrier stations. So, simple. You read it wrong. Okay, what did you read wrong? Abhinav. So today also no immunity from robbery. So is this question difficult, easy? What it is? What if the options were not like one, only two, sir? Because not aware second option. See, Shiva, you are aware of the first and second for sure, which is that Hyun Sang got robbed and there was capital punishment. This is a what is called a generic statement. Generic statement is that will rulers collect taxes from ferries and barrier stations? Tell me, do rulers always collect tax from taxpayers or from them? Yes, they do. So then this is automatically implied. If you have the understanding to see this is an extreme statement, then you have the understanding to know this is a generic statement. But very simply, UPSC was kind enough that month or that year. Very simply, they gave you a question in which sometimes elimination works. UPSC does this. Sometimes they will do it. Sometimes they will try to make your life extremely problematic. Okay, one more question. With reference to economic history of medieval India, the term agrahatta refers to bonded labor, land grants made to military officers, water will used for irrigation of land, wasteland converted to cultivable land. Come on. I am not making these questions up. These are old questions. And you can't be like, I will not do previous year because pair 1, pair 2, pair 3 is coming. What if next year UPSC abandons that concept? UPSC is unpredictable that way. It can do anything it wants and you can't do anything about it. This is the last question. We'll take a break. We'll come back and start a very important theme, Turkish invasion. Very, very important. Early medieval, Sushmita specifically. Perfect, 67%. Agarhatta showed you irrigation, Persian wheel, not land grant ministry, not that is Agraharam. Agraharam. If you are getting confused, then also remember it's not true a military officer, it's a Brahmin. There's nothing called Agraharam as bonded labor. Wasteland converted is mostly called Khila. So I think now you get it what type of questions are coming from early medieval. Certain papers I will do whole with you in one go itself once we reach it. That was Abahata. Yeah, come on, this cannot be something which can confuse you. Agraharam, Agarghatta, Abahata, Agraharam. These are three different words. This is a language, this is a technology, this is a land grant to a Brahmin. Yes? Done. Okay. So when we come back, we start. This I've already done with you, Vishti. When we come back, we start Advent of Turks. Very important module. Multiple chapters in Satish Chanda will be summarized in 8 to 9 important maps. So Advent of Turks, we'll talk about Gurid or Gori. Then we'll discuss Battle of Terrain. And we'll also discuss, we'll enter into Delhi Sultanate and its establishment. And we'll also have the discussion on Mongols if needed. We'll do that. So I'll see you at 6 p.m. now. And we will, no, not, yeah, 6 p.m. I'll see you at 6 p.m. And we will take this conversation forward. See you.